Donald Trump has asked the US Supreme Court to intervene over a ruling banning him from the primary ballot in the state of Colorado. In December, the state Supreme Court disqualified Trump as a presidential candidate over his role in the January 6th assault on the US Capitol. Judges ruled that his actions were a violation of the US Constitution's rarely used insurrection clause. All right, well, for more on this, I'm joined here in studio by DW reporter Ben Dorman. Ben, great to have you here. So we're going to break this down because it's quite complex. So what is this insurrection clause exactly?
Well, for Trump's opponents, they're hoping it's the kind of constitutional kryptonite to prevent him from ever taking office again. But speaking more literally, it's the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. It was passed after the Civil War, way back in 1868. It was intended at the time to stop Confederates, the rebels who lost the war, coming back and regaining office after rebelling against the government. And it's very simple. It's only 2 sentences long. It essentially says that if you took an oath to uphold the Constitution, you then participate in a rebellion, an insurrection against the government, you are disqualified from holding office again unless a huge majority of Congress says you can. And in Colorado, the Supreme Court in December ruled that what happened on January 6th was an insurrection. What Donald Trump did that day, if you recall, telling his supporters to go fight like hell before they went and stormed the Capitol, what he did constitutes taking part in that insurrection. So the court said, according to this, there's insurrection, he took part, he can't be president. That's what they ruled. And they said, therefore, he shouldn't even be on the primary ballot. All
right, but tell us, what are Donald Trump and his lawyers now arguing?
Well, they're throwing a lot of different arguments at the wall. Firstly, they say the insurrection was an insurrection. It was a political protest that spiraled, became violent, got out of control. They're also arguing that even if it was an insurrection, Donald Trump himself wasn't involved. He just spoke at the event. He just said things. And in the US, the First Amendment protects your right to free speech, and they're saying that he shouldn't be prosecuted on those grounds. They're also arguing at the same time that, OK, if it was an insurrection and if he did take part, that still shouldn't matter. They're arguing on very legalistic grounds that because this section of the amendment doesn't specifically say you can't be president if you take part in an insurrection, then Donald Trump shouldn't be excluded on those grounds. They're also making much broader kind of arguments where they're saying that this is fundamentally not a question for Colorado to decide, that it is a question that Congress should be deciding on, and that the Supreme Court needs to tell Colorado, essentially, no, it's not up to you.
Right, so that sounds certainly very complex. Ben, if you could, very briefly, what can we expect the Supreme Court to decide?
Well, that is the huge question that everyone is wondering about right now. It is an unprecedented question that this amendment has never come up in this way before the Supreme Court. It's also not a question that cuts so clearly on kind of normal ideological grounds. Right. Obviously, there's a 6-3 Conservative majority. 3 of those 6 were appointed by Trump. Mm-hmm. But a lot of conservative legal scholars say this amendment is pretty clear. He should be disqualified if he took part in an insurrection. What is certain is that this is a huge political question, that whatever decision they make will have a huge impact on the election coming up.
We will all be keeping a close eye on that. DW reporter Ben Dorman.